Dude, put that thing away. They're like children here.
I didn't think I was going to enjoy the brand new SpongeBob movie, Search for SquarePants. All of the early impressions I heard from friends ahead of time weren't too positive. The biggest laugh I got from any of the trailers was when Crazy Train kicked in.
I'm taking you to the underworld.
And its predecessor, Sponge on the Run, has only gotten worse with age. It poorly rehashed plot beats from the first movie, went out of its way to set up a baby spin-off, and had dialogue that was either out of character or not earned. Very disappointing stuff. Also, I made 5 videos covering it. When I was graciously invited to see the new feature on the Paramount lot, of course I said yes. Fun fact, SpongeBob is real and he's also my friend. Sorry, Ice Spice, I stole your man. I wasn't planning on making a review because I expected some aspect to activate my irrational fan rage. Instead, I liked it.
Really?
I think this was the perfect time to release a movie that I'd give a 6 or 7 out of 10. What fascinates me when looking at ratings from both fans and critics is how much flack this is getting for what it isn't instead of what it is. Today, I want to unpack how expectations for what SpongeBob should be on the big screen soured reactions and impacted its rough opening box office. Obviously, it wasn't going to measure up to the Goliath that is Avatar Fire and Ash, but it couldn't even beat David. Maybe SpongeBob needs more right-wing influencers on his side.
You got Hollywood pushing edgy, suggestive marketing on little kids to get attention, and on the other, you've got this biblical, family-friendly epic called David. It's in theaters now, by the way.
This was the most suggestive piece of marketing you could find? Not the billboard where his whole bob is out? In Search for SquarePants, SpongeBob tries to prove he's a big guy instead of a bubble-blowing baby boy to his peers by living up to Mr. Krabs' stories of swashbuckling adventure. He falls into a trap laid by the Flying Dutchman to free the villain of his ghostly pirate curse. As SpongeBob and Patrick join his crew and traverse the twisted underworld, Mr. Krabs, Squidward, and Gary give chase. I guess the title is named after this trio searching for Mr. SquarePants, but it's a rescue mission. They know where he's going the whole time. Maybe it's because SpongeBob is finding himself? Was SpongeBob searching for a different kind of pants?
This year I went on a cracking quest to find myself. And also my pants.
What interested me was the director behind this project, Derek Drymon. He was a board artist at DreamWorks, directed Hotel Transylvania 4, but more importantly, was creative director on seasons 1 through 3 of SpongeBob SquarePants. He was Steven Hillenburg's right-hand man during the cartoon's most iconic era. If anyone could recapture that classic magic on the big screen, it would be this guy. Okay, that wasn't intentional. Originally, this voyage through the underworld with the Flying Dutchman was the premise for another streaming spin-off film, this time starring Mr. Krabs. However, executives saw enough promise to develop it as a mainline SpongeBob movie, and I think that change was for the best. Regarding humor and writing, this was kind of a return to form. The comedy isn't too slow or too reliant on its visuals. I think my favorite joke is one about Mr. Krabs correcting Squidward when he calls his boss by his first name. It's such a well-observed bit about their power dynamic. Every little misunderstanding or sudden awkward pause really landed for me.
So, how does this end?
A handful of Patrick jokes aren't afraid to make him hyper-observational about trivial subjects, in between his typical, well-meaning stupidity. I love all of his interactions with the Flying Dutchman's assistant, Barb, who is way funnier than she had any right to be. They awkwardly bond over their statuses as being secondary to the pro and antagonists, and she has a little arc of learning to not want to kill SpongeBob and Patrick on the spot.
Okay, chill out, Bob.
The friendship between this duo was handled really nicely. All of their bubble antics are cute enough to annoy the villains but not the audience, show how much the pair mean to each other, and demonstrate how important bubble blowing is to them. When there is tension between SpongeBob and Patrick, which is fortunately not a full-on third act breakup, and bubbles become relevant, it all feels earned because of how it was built up. This thing is pretty well plotted. A handful of beautiful concept art pieces have surfaced online, for SpongeBob having dreams of being a swashbuckler, and a version where Patrick joins the rescue team, though I'm not disappointed we didn't get to see them brought to life. The only exception is the scrap location of the Ghost Cove, a stunning pirate town made up of sunken ships, complete with a cafeteria and dance floor. It was replaced with Challenge Cove, a massive mountain that our heroes scale instead of staying in a single town. Most of these changes seem to have only made the movie better. Plus, everyone in the main cast has something to do, besides maybe Gary. The third act has simple but satisfying payoffs, and almost nothing comes to mind that I personally tweak or cut. Well, besides getting rid of the small number of generic reaction lines.
What is happening?
Even the butt jokes are nicely spread across the runtime, despite being all over the ad campaign.
Destiny is squeezing my buns. Do you feel it? I'm ready!
You're not ready. Not ready. Not ready. Not ready. Not ready. Not ready.
I think the most heart can be found within the central relationship of Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob, who have never felt more like a father and son. In a choice that may be out of character, the crustacean almost never brings up money. He blames himself for leading SpongeBob into harm's way, and that's his main motivation to rescue the lad. I do appreciate that the stakes feel high for him. Krabs can put his defining trait aside because he does care for his fry cook deep down. Giving both characters fantasies that exaggerate how they think about the other was a great way to keep them connected while they're apart. Although, whenever it cuts to SpongeBob's old Krusty Krab ID, it bothers me how it has a 2018 expiration date. Now I gotta think about what the pandemic was like in Bikini Bottom. Thanks for that.
Quarantine schmarantine. I'm the great...
All of this solid character work made it easier to swallow how this doesn't really fit into the show continuity-wise. The backstories of Krabs and the Flying Dutchman are changed for the sake of the plot. For Mr. K, that's fine. His past has never been solidified. He's lived a long life, and a few episodes have explored how he could be both a pirate and in the Navy. For Dutchie, it's as if he's never met SpongeBob before or interacted with the rest of the main cast several times. You know, I don't need them to mention when he turned into a torpedo and basically killed everyone, but this is like that one episode where Larry suddenly forgets who SpongeBob is. This is from season 7. Why was Bro gaslighting?
Do I know you?
Probably not.
However, unlike other recent SpongeBob projects like Camp Coral or the Plankton movie, I'm fine with the canon being ignored, because it took the Flying Dutchman to new and interesting places. Turning him into a human that SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs interact with on the surface, which was spoiled in the very first teaser trailer, is something we've never seen before. You don't need to justify why the sea creatures can survive on land because they're spirits this time. Sorry I don't have much footage of this on hand. Just pretend like Ice Spice isn't here. I kinda get why Mark Hamill was recast as the Dutchman, so you could have a bankable actor playing him with both live action and voice acting experience.
When I was doing my research, I'd forgotten I'd done an episode in season 5. It's called Nightlight. I played the Moth, and I was so good, 18 years later they asked me back.
Thank you for writing this video for me, Mr. Hamill. I do miss Brian Doyle Murray, the original VA, who has and seemingly will continue to play the character on TV and in video games. But I think having a self-contained story for the Flying Dutchman that can exist separately from the series makes the change easier to swallow. Hamill really hams it up too. Although when I close my eyes, sometimes it sounds like SpongeBob is hanging out with the Joker.
He's the key to my curse.
Your curse! What are we laughing about?
Besides Mark Hamill and Regina Hall as Barb, the rest of these celebrity guest stars only have a handful of lines. Ice Spice and George Lopez got their own promotional videos, despite only having a few seconds of screen time each. I had to check Wikipedia to see where Sherry Cola and Arturo Castro appeared. These are all throwaway parts that would have been played by a main cast member on the show. Speaking of which, Sandy and Plankton are in the marketing, but are basically cameos. The trailers included pretty much all of their moments. There's even a joke about Sandy not being in the movie, which was a highlight. It reminded me of Gremlins 2, which is a sentence I should say anytime I watch a movie. There isn't a lot here that feels mandated by the studio. The live action scenes don't overstay their welcome, and remind me more of the campy, green screen filled Patchy the Pirate segments than a proper hybrid movie, like the Smurfs, Alvin and the Chipmunks, or Smurfs. Board artist Jason Riker posted some scrap gag concepts that have a real Mel Brooks or Naked Gun feel to them, with obvious dummies or stunt doubles. I do wish that screwball comedy vibe was a little more present in the final cut, but I appreciate that the real world is meant to fit SpongeBob instead of putting SpongeBob in the real world. I would compare the live action segments to the episode Pressure. It's here to wrap up the plot and get out in a few minutes. But I enjoy how surreal everything is in the meantime.
What?
Sponge on the Run had a number of on-the-nose needle drops. Like when SpongeBob and Patrick start their road trip, you hear...
On the road again.
Now, the licensed songs are servicing the comedy, none lasting for more than a few seconds. There's far more pieces of production music ripped directly from the series. Their inclusion was a nice touch, especially using one track as SpongeBob and Patrick's friendship theme and an extensive remix of 12th Street Rag, the song you're hearing right now. Going from a montage set to Livin' La Vida Loca to this is like night and day. I do wish one of my favorite instrumentals was included, Hawaiian Cocktail. The score from John Debney served its purpose, never being distracting. Nothing too noteworthy though. My favorite cues, like the surf rock heard when the heroes enter the underworld, were left off the official release. Originally, SpongeBob's morning montage where he tries to act like a big guy was set to Dr. Dre's the next episode. You can even hear it in a clip posted back in July.
Big guy.
According to Drymon, that temp track wasn't entirely working, but the goal was for Ice Spice to capture the same mature energy.
When we originally talked to her, it's like the song can be super swaggery, can be really a lot of attitude, like you don't have to make it feel young. Like the joke is that he thinks he's this swaggery, cool guy, but then visually he's this little kid running around in his underwear playing with his toys, you know? It felt like a really good contrast. I too would love to get millions of views and streams of a song with the chorus, SpongeBob Big Guy, Pants Okay. She's utilizing the same appeal as that Blink-182 meme. That's just the characters' names being repeated.
SpongeBob, Patrick, Squidward, Sandy.
Besides the live-action segments feeling like a bit of an afterthought, I wouldn't say that this film comes across as being cheap. I think its methods of cost-cutting were kind of sneaky. The main setting of the underworld is very inspired, with its mix of nautical monsters and aquarium-like caves. I just wish there was more visual variety within areas like Challenge Cove, where the A-plot primarily takes place. The animation team at ReelFX was candid about recycling assets to maintain the quality. There's a few creative shot choices like a first-person Patrick shot or sweeping pans around the pirate ship. Otherwise, the staging is very subtly cinematic. In that way, this is a minor downgrade from Sponge on the Run, but I do think this is one of the best iterations of SpongeBob in CGI. If these movies can no longer be 2D, I hope they keep looking like this. It's not too textured, the characters are always appealing, and it doesn't feel like the technology is holding the expressions back.
I am.
There's a few hand-drawn elements during montages and flashbacks that add some nice variety too. They also finally attempted a realistic close-up shot in this style, which is something I was asking for last time around. The budget was reportedly a little higher too, so stripping down the detail feels intentional. The character acting is at the forefront, and quite a bit made me laugh just based on how everyone moved, like SpongeBob doing push-ups. However, it kind of lacks spectacle. You don't have the wow factor of seeing the main cast or Bikini Bottom rendered in 3D for the first time. Unless the concept of pirates counts as a gimmick, I appreciate the lack of gimmicks, but it's safe. Not a lot of big swings or huge laughs here. I've seen this thing 3 times now, and on every viewing I picked up on extra details and connective tissue, but it never rose from good to great for me. If you haven't noticed already, if you swap Big Guy and bubble-blowing baby boy with man and kid, SpongeBob's arc is basically the same one he embarked on in the first movie. I do think making Mr. Krabs and the Flying Dutchman his role models and giving the former a bigger presence helped this plot feel fresh. I like that Mr. Krabs is taken to a new place emotionally that still fits with the character we know from the cartoon. It's very well done. However, I can't argue that it's similar. You might prefer a version of the SpongeBob SquarePants movie that focuses on Krabs and SpongeBob's relationship instead of using it as a launching pad. Personally, it's not as compelling the second time around, and certainly not as funny. Why shill out to see an inferior version of that classic film in theaters? Especially when there's other new SpongeBob movies you can enjoy on Netflix, or just wait until it drops on Paramount+. This is just a more complicated way of saying that Simpsons movie joke.
I can't believe we're paying to see something we get on TV for free.
By the way, I can't wait to watch The Simpsons movie 2 at home on Disney+. Before I wrap up, I want to note that the SpongeBob Big Guy Pants Okay of it all overshadowed a rare but unfortunate use of generative AI in the marketing. I can see how some of it slipped through the cracks, like with this extended Bikini Bottom background for a CBS Morning Interview. Then there's the Instagram ad I got for an official brand tie-in with Von Telly Eyewear that created this disgusting animation from an official screenshot. SpongeBob and Patrick just get more and more deformed as it goes on. The irony of this is what plays before Search for SquarePants in theaters. A short tied into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, titled Chrome Alone 2, Lost in New Jersey. Between the fun mixed media and standout score, the short pokes fun at derivative pop culture ripoffs, and takes a clear stance against artificial intelligence and ChatGPT. The TMNT are back where they belong, in a PSA. I don't do drugs, because I don't want Michelangelo to get mad at me.
What problem?
Drugs, bud. Your brain must be, like, really messed up.
As a film, Search for SquarePants being so simple and character-driven is kind of a hard sell, even though that's what I like most about it. While it has a back-to-basics approach, the story it's telling justifies the longer runtime, which I can't say about any movie from this franchise since the first one. I prefer Sponge Out of Water for being more unique. It doesn't stop taking big swings until the credits roll, but I was really charmed by what I watched while eating my free popcorn from my free popcorn bucket. The past 20 years of SpongeBob have been filled with specials, spin-offs, and events. I think it's refreshing to see it do something smaller, calmer, and a little more intimate, even though I know most viewers aren't coming in with the same perspective. I'm not saying that the classic era is back. I can just tell that someone who hasn't worked with the Bob in 20 years made this. It's the kind of throwback Sponge on the Run should have been, and the polish and care on display completely outshines those Netflix spin-offs. Maybe my expectations were too low, or I'm too biased as an AMC A-list member, but I'd recommend seeing this in theaters if you can. My primary fear going in was for this to be a dumbed-down animated kids movie, but no, it feels like SpongeBob first and a movie second, and that is so refreshing.
I'm ready.
I'm really proud of my friend for making it back to the big screen, and I hope he starts returning my calls soon. Fingers crossed that this theatrical outing is just the starting point for this team, especially director Derek Drymon. I think building on the foundation that Search for SquarePants laid here with a more ambitious sequel could be something really special. The less it's like the first movie, the better. I'm surprised we still haven't gotten a SpongeBob and Squidward buddy comedy yet. It'd be nice if most of the marketing campaign didn't happen 4 weeks before the release date too. I'm sure that also contributed to it flopping like a fish at the box office, although hopefully it'll fare better internationally. Flop is kind of a strong word, even if it did drop from number 4 to number 7 in its second weekend, despite the giant promotional push behind it. Still, it's about to make back its budget, and there's no incoming competition in the animated family space until we get GOAT mid-February. Right now, it's the center of a nice furry sandwich. Maybe this announcement was just poor timing, but I hope this SpongeBob movie didn't prevent a different Avatar from reaching the big screen. You know, one Nicktoon has been devalued by subpar streaming offerings for years, and the other taps into the same appeal as Chainsaw Man and Demon Slayer, but doesn't get to go to theaters? My recommendation, just put Avatar in the title and make Aang blue and hope no one notices. What else can I say besides SpongeBob Big Guy, Pants Okay? Big guy, big guy, big guy, big guy. SpongeBob Big Guy Pants Okay. 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 SpongeBob Big Guy Pants Okay.